Hey guys, first update from the trenches today. Unfortunately, not good news to share for Trench Volume 1. So I did say that I would share the good, the bad and the ugly of everything it takes to build a business from scratch on this channel, and unfortunately our first volume is going to be the ugly. So I guess I'll begin by giving you a bit of a status update on what's going on and what led to what happened yesterday, the lead up to it, ultimately the story of what actually happened, what I learned from it, and what we won't be doing again going forward. The focus this month is really to stand up the front-end infrastructure for the business that I'm going to build on this channel. I've been referring to it as 2.0. Everything I did before I conceptualized this business, I'm referring to as 1.0. So 1.0 is me as a time for money consultant, a CFO for hire. 2.0 is a firm that I'm building which delivers via a team, leverages AI, IP, etc. What I've been doing, earlier in the month, I developed the business plan, clean starting point, and once I'd done that, I did some work on the branding, the color palette, etc. to get the visual identity concrete. Then once I had that, I started scoping a website and developed a design brief that I could hand off to my designer. That's all happened in the first week of September, and then through the past 5-6 days I've been going through cycles with the designer of refinement. We've just finished the third cycle, and I think that later today she will have a final cut ready to hand off to development. So it's looking really good and I'm really happy with it, but as of right now it has no name. Naming is always something that I've struggled with. It's like I've had various side hustles in the past, Shopify stores and things, and naming's always been a very challenging part of creating a business. But in this case, I think it's the most challenging I've ever experienced because I'm working with basically impossible constraints. So my vision for this business is it's going to be a global firm. Initially, I'm going to operate it out of my existing Australian private company entity, but I plan to restructure within the first 6 months to the United Arab Emirates out of Dubai. And the issue with that, and as far as selling goes, it's a globally positioned business. There's no single market it's going to serve. It's going to serve Australia and New Zealand primarily, but look to expand, especially after the first 6 months, to a more global client base, especially the United States and the UK. So therefore, it doesn't make sense to put it on a domain, a website like .com.au or .co.nz. It needs to be a .com. Otherwise, ultimately, in 6 months' time, I'm going to have to go through the process of rebranding. So it just makes sense to get it right the first time. Now, I'm also budget constrained because I'm self-funding this with limited funds, and so I don't have 5 figures to drop on a domain name for a business that doesn't exist yet. It just isn't a smart investment. It would make sense. I 100% understand there's definitely scenarios where that would make sense, but for me right now, it just doesn't make sense. A business is money in. You don't. It would just be vanity to be spending $10,000 plus on a cool name .com domain when I don't have revenue. So we're not going down that route, which leaves us with a situation where we need to engineer a name. Now, and it has to have a .com available for either the reg fee, which is what GoDaddy advertises for 1 year, 3 years. It's usually less than 50 USD. They usually have promos going, or a premium domain, but less than say $1,000. And it needs to match a global financial infrastructure, a fractional CFO as a service provider. It's basically impossible to execute that, as I have found. So one method I was using as an example, I've got ChatGPT Pro. I set up a master project thread. I actually did this multiple times and used the Pro model to basically script out a process that a global naming agency would follow to name this entity. And then I used that to devise 8 prompts for agents to attack the naming from different angles, and had that much compute running through various loops throughout the day, and still, after burning 10 hours on it, I had nothing usable. It was mostly just Latin sludge names that, you would hear the name, you wouldn't be able to spell it out after hearing it the first time. It would fail what they refer to as the radio test. So after a whole day of wasted time on that, I was, nowhere, basically. 2 days of that, and so that was basically Saturday and Sunday, running through various creative strategies of trying to devise a name, including the old pen and paper. So far, none have worked. I keep running into the constraint. If I think of a good idea, something that I like, I go to search it up on GoDaddy. It's not available. The AI obviously can live check against GoDaddy, but because it's operating within the constraint, what it returns to me is just AI generated sludge, not a name that I want to use, that I'm going to be proud of. So very challenging. And that was yesterday in a nutshell. I started that process from about 9 o'clock in the morning, got through to 8 p.m. at night, and I had a meeting booked in my calendar that I'd booked the week before with a client of the 1.0 business to hand over a final deliverable, present a final deliverable to them, a management report, and also pitch what's next. And the idea was to pitch them a retainer model, and they would effectively be the lighthouse client or the first small client of this new business I'm building, which doesn't exist yet. They are a small client. They'd be smaller than the typical ICP that I'm going to be going for, but nonetheless, it would have been a fantastic result to get some revenue in even before launching. That was in my calendar, and I joined that meeting after roughly 11 hours of burning painful cognitive energy trying to name this business and failing and getting very frustrated in the process. And I joined the meeting, had a good catch up, and then when it came time to talk through the presentation, I was fine on all the financials. I literally prepared the presentation. So I know the business's financials inside out. That was all fine, but I stumbled on especially pitching the value of the retainer. It's not natural to me. Sales definitely doesn't come naturally to me. I've only had to do it a handful of times. It's something that I'm going to have to learn live on this channel. You're going to see me evolve because I have no choice but to learn it. Otherwise, this business will never get off the ground. Honestly, done okay with it, but last night was the first time I've tried to do a sales pitch totally cognitively burnt out from a day of hellish work. And I will never, ever do that again. I got off the call. I think the call actually went pretty well, apart from, that's my general summary. But I think it's because the deliverable carried me. Like, I put a lot of effort into the deliverable, really made sure it was relevant to the client. It was very well researched and prepared. And I think that may have carried me despite my bad performance. And I just got off the call with that feeling of, I really undersold this. I could have done so much better. I was disappointed in myself because I know the level that I operate at. I know how good the product is, how useful it would be for the client, and I just did not deliver. And so even though the clients, in my view, they got on the call with the idea of, they'd already made the decision up in their mind that they were going to join up. But if anything, I reduced the chances with my poor delivery. So that was a painful lesson, and I won't be doing it again. I'm not sure how I'm going to get around this issue, given that I'm going to be living in the Americas and a lot of my initial sales efforts will probably be aimed at Australasia, meaning I'm going to have to run them late in the day, but I'm going to have to put some better structure into my calendar so I don't ever end up burned out after a huge demanding workday trying to do sales pitches, which is a tier 1 exercise. It's mission critical for growing your business. It's something that you need to treat with the utmost respect and really be arriving with your full energy ready to go. So I think that's probably it for this update. I'll leave it there and I'll check back in with you guys in 48, hopefully with some better news.